Everyone, welcome back. I hope you are enjoying this series of yoga videos. Again, if you have any feedback or any specific things that you'd like to see in future videos, please feel free to give that feedback to Mahesh. I'm Nina, and I am going to take you through a vinyasa yoga class today. We're going to do this one, it's going to be slightly shorter, maybe around 45 minutes, and we're really going to speed things up a little bit as you've already gotten a bit of practice with what what vinyasa yoga feels like. So for today, you can start in child's pose on your mat. So come down to your knees. Spread your knees hip width apart, maybe a little bit further. You can bring your toes, tops of your toes against the mat, and bring your bum back down to your heels. From here, lower your chest down towards the mat, but keeping your bum back towards your heels. And just relax here. Bringing your forehead to the mat, enjoying the feeling of the weight of your head sinking down into your mat. And start to notice your breath. Maybe you can feel your stomach and your rib cage expanding into your thighs when you inhale, and releasing as you exhale. Really start to slow down your breath, making a conscious inhale, elongating it, and a conscious exhale. If you have Ujjayi breathing in your practice, that audible breath, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose also, start to bring that into your practice. Reach your arms out in front of you. Maybe reach your fingertips as far away as you can and grip the mat with your fingertips. Just creating a little bit of tension along your upper back muscles, starting to engage them. Nothing too strenuous, just starting to feel that activation there. Coming up into an all-four position. Bring your knees so that they're directly underneath your hips, your wrists directly under your shoulders, and we're going to start warming up our spine with those cat-cows. So on your inhale, drop your belly, lift your tailbone and the crown of your head to the sky. On your exhale, reverse that movement, rounding your back towards the sky, really pushing away from the mat with your wrists and your knees. Following your breath on your inhale into cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Really tuck your chin into your chest and feel that stretch along the back of your neck. One more each side. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Coming back to a neutral spine. Lifting your right arm up towards the sky. Just twisting open and then sweeping it underneath your left arm and down along the mat. And just letting your weight rest on that right shoulder. Giving a little bit of a stretch here. Push back up, lift that right arm to the sky again, and then bring it back down to the mat. Let's do the same on the left-hand side. So left arm up to the sky, really reach, and then pull it down and through under your right arm and relax onto that left shoulder. Pushing back up, reaching that left arm to the sky. and then bringing it back down. From here, really gripping the mat with your fingertips, almost creating a suction cup with your palms, really gripping there. Tuck your toes under, and we're going to push into our first downward facing dog. As it's our first one, let's keep our knees bent and allowing those bent knees to help us really straighten out and elongate our spine here. Shake your head, yes and no. Maybe paddle out your legs at the back. Just enter into this as easily as you need to start warming up the backs of your legs. Really making sure that you're gripping the mat with your fingertips, outward rotation of your shoulders. So imagine that you're pulling your armpits towards one another underneath you, creating that space in your upper back. And then maybe coming to still. Bending your knees slightly, tilting your tailbone to the sky, and then letting your heels drop back down to the mat. Breathing here, making sure that your neck is relaxed. On your inhale, look forward and just walk your feet up towards your hands. Land them about hip width apart and just stay folded over into an easy forward fold. Again, you can have your knees bent here if you need to. You can grab opposite elbows, maybe sway from side to side to really start loosening up that lower back. Bounce it out. And then slowly letting your elbows go and just start rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae from the lowest all the way up to the top. Your head coming up last. Maybe give yourself a shoulder roll at the top and coming to standing at the top of your mat. Bring your big toes to touch and your heels also to touch, or they can be slightly apart, or you can even have your hips, your feet hip width apart if you need to. But typically we bring our toes together and our heels together. Lift up all of your toes and place them all, spread them out and place them back down one by one. And maybe rock yourself like forward to back a little bit, side to side. Make sure that your weight is equally grounded on all four corners of your feet. Really engage your thighs, lifting your thighs away from your kneecaps. Tuck your tailbone under, maybe stick your tailbone out, tuck it in. Find that neutral position where it feels strong and your abs are engaged. And then rolling your shoulders back and down, palms facing in towards your thighs. This is our mountain pose. Crown of your head straight to the ceiling as if someone's pulling at the top with a string. It's a really engaged pose, so even though we look like we're just standing, it's a very, very strong pose. So whenever we come to stand, this is what we're in. We're going to warm up with a few sun salutations. We've done these a few times now, so you just follow me with your breath. On your inhale, bring your arms up to the sky, slight bend, back bend here. On your exhale, hinge from the hips, folding forward into your forward fold. Keep your knees bent here if you need to. On your inhale, lifting up and straightening your back out parallel to the ground. Exhale, plant your hands, step your feet back. You can bring your knees to the mat for this first one and lowering down through your chaturanga and then pushing up into a cobra, tops of your feet flat against the mat. Tuck your feet under and lift back into your downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths here. Inhale. Maybe sigh it out. Inhale again. On your next inhale, looking forward, walking your feet up to the front of the mat. Inhaling to your halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, arms to the sky all the way back up to standing. Bring your hands back down through prayer and into your mountain pose. We're going to do this 2 times more with a little bit faster pace, and we can incorporate our full chaturangas if you'd like to. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step or jump back down through your chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 2 breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Looking forward, stepping or jumping to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, all the way up to standing. Bring your arms back down through prayer. And do this again. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step or jump back, lower down through your chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Making sure that you're really gripping the mat, tailbone tilted to the sky, legs strong behind you, heels pulling down to the mat. On your inhale, look forward, step or jump to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, all the way back up to standing. Great. Should feel a bit warmer now. We're going to flow through a few different sequences, but this time we're going to do them, the first time we do them, we'll do them slowly to get all of the movement, and then we're going to run through them at a faster pace to really just feel us flowing with our breath. So inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step or jump back down through your chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, bring your right foot forward in between your hands. Let your back heel drop to the mat at a 45-degree angle and lift up into your warrior one. Your hips should be facing towards the front of your mat here, really facing straight forward. Tailbone slightly tucked under, slight arch in your back, arms to the sky, gaze slightly upward. Really push into that back edge of that back heel. Push your right knee out so that it's not falling in, and think about having an outward rotation of both of your thighs. Feeling really strong here. On your next breath, open out to your warrior two. So now your hips are facing more towards the long side of your mat. Really deep bend in that front knee. Make sure that it's not falling inwards. Really strong on the back edge of this back leg. Arms parallel to the mat, shoulders directly over your hips. Gaze over that front middle finger. Breathing here. Again, outward rotation of the thighs, really strong legs. And then on your next breath, keeping your legs exactly as they are, reverse your warrior just by bringing that right arm up overhead. Your left arm can stay long behind you. You can wrap it around your waist. Gaze up to the ceiling. And then bringing your right elbow this time to the top of your right knee and letting your left arm windmill up over ahead of you. Now here, you want to think about a straight line of energy coming from that back heel, shooting straight up through this arm. And you're twisting yourself open towards the ceiling. Make sure there's not so much weight on your knee. You're just using it to really kind of help you twist open. If you've got the movement, you can come down towards the mat. From here, looking down towards the mat, coming back up into your warrior two, and then just windmilling your hands down and stepping back into your plank. We're going to flush it out with a vinyasa. So exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now we're going to do the same on the other side. So bringing your left foot forward, planting your right heel down, lifting up into your warrior one. Same cues here, really pushing on the outside edge of that back foot. Front knee bent deeply. You should be able to see your big toe. Tailbone tucked under, hips facing forward, slight arch in the upper back. Outward rotation of the thighs. And then opening out to our warrior two, you might want a slightly longer stance. Hips this time to the right side of the mat. Knee bent. Back leg strong, arms parallel to the mat, shoulders directly over your hips, gaze over that front middle finger. And then reversing your warrior, keeping your legs the same, bringing your left arm over, maybe wrapping your right hand back around your lower back. And then coming into extended side angle, bringing your left elbow down, sweeping your right arm up overhead and twisting open towards the ceiling. Strong legs, straight line of energy from that back heel shooting through that right arm. Breathing here. Coming back up to your warrior two, windmilling your hands down, stepping back into your plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. You can stay here for a couple of breaths. On your next inhale, looking forward, bending your knees, stepping or jumping to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, coming back up to standing. So we're going to do that 2 more times, but just each movement with our breath. So flow with me. And we're actually going to enter through chair pose, Utkatasana this time, instead of through our other vinyasa. So on your inhale, bend your knees, drop your bum back, raise your arms up overhead into Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step or jump back, lower down through your chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward, plant your back heel, extend up through warrior one. Exhale, open out, warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, extended side angle pose. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, windmill your hands down. Go down through your chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left side now, bringing your left foot forward and raise up through warrior one. Exhale, open out, warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, extended side angle pose. Inhale, back through your warrior two. Exhale, windmill your arms down, straight down through your chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hopefully you're feeling warm after that. Take a couple of breaths here to stretch it back out. Really making sure your tailbone is tilted towards the sky. Making sure that your legs and your feet aren't too close together so that you can create that good upside down V shape. And breathing here. Inhale, look forward, bend your knees, step or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale into your chair pose, and then come back up to standing. Let's do that one more time. Give you a chance to catch up if it went too fast the first time around. Starting in your mountain pose. Inhale, sweep your hands up overhead, bum back, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step or jump back down through your vinyasa. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward, up through your warrior one. Exhale, open out, warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, extended side angle pose. Inhale, back up through your warrior two. Exhale, windmill your hands down, lower down through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left side, foot forward, open up, warrior one. Exhale, open out, warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, extended side angle pose. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down, lower down through your chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Well done. Resting here for a couple of breaths. So that's the true form of vinyasa, where every movement is with one breath. But it's nice sometimes to hold them for a bit longer. And then it's also nice to get your heart rate going and move with them. Inhale, looking forward, bending your knees, stepping or jumping to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, come back up to standing. Let's do another flow in the same way. So we'll go through it slow to start, and then we'll do it quickly. So this one, entering again through your Utkatasana. So inhale, bend your knees, bum back, arms overhead. Let's hold this for a second. Make sure that your weight is really in the heels rather than in your toes. You should be able to see all of your toes. Try and keep your spine long, your arms overhead, your gaze slightly upward. From here, bring your hands to prayer and just twist onto the right hand side. So bringing your left elbow to the outside of your right knee and twisting over to the right hand side. You can open up your arms here if you want to, or you can just stay twisted. Now with control, shifting your weight into your right foot, slowly bring your left foot towards the back of the mat, maintaining that twist. Well done. Untwisting here and raising up into a high lunge. Breathing here, making sure your back leg is strong, your front knee bent directly over your ankle, hips tightly, pelvis tucked under, shoulder blades backing down, slight back bend here. Now from here, plant your back heel on the mat and just straighten out both of your legs, opening out to the side of the mat. We're in the perfect position here to go into our Trikonasana. So imagine that someone is pulling on your front arm, pulling you as far forward as they can. And then when you can't go any further, windmill that right hand down and that left arm up to the sky. If you need a block underneath this hand to give you a bit of height, because the key here is more around the straightening of the spine and the opening up to the ceiling rather than how low that you can go. Holding this here. Looking down to your front foot and raising back up. Bring your hands to your hips, bump your back foot forward, arrange your feet so that they're on railroad tracks. So hips straight forward, feet slightly apart. Bring your right arm to your lower back and your left arm to the sky. Inhale here to lengthen, and then on your exhale, start folding forward. When you can't fold forward any further without rounding your back, that's your biting point. You stay there. And if you can, bring your left hand to the outside of your right foot and twist your body open to the right hand side. Really thinking about keeping your hips parallel still. So pushing your right hip back, bringing your left hip forward, opening out to the right hand side. And if you are fully facing the right hand side, you can bring your right arm up to the ceiling. Breathing here, well done. And then just looking down, planting both of your hands on the mat and stepping back into your downward facing dog. Inhale to your chaturanga and lower down. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take a breath here. And then looking forward, Stepping or jumping to the front of the mat. Inhaling to your halfway lift. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, Utkatasana. Coming back up to standing. Now we'll do the same on the other side. So inhaling, Utkatasana. Holding here for a second. Making sure your weight is in your heels, your pelvis is tucked under, spine long, arms trying to get back by your ears. Bring your hands to prayer in front of your chest, and this time we're going to twist over to the left-hand side. So bringing your right elbow to the outside of your left knee, twisting open, really pushing your hands together to help you get a bit more opening, get twisted more to the right-hand side. Sorry, to the left. If you want to open up your arms here, you can. Otherwise, just stay with that twist. And looking down to your feet, shifting your weight into your left foot with control, bringing your right foot to the back of the mat. Coming into a lunge, but staying in that twisted position. Breathing here. And then staying in your lunge, bringing your arms up overhead into that high crescent lunge. Back leg strong, front knee bent deeply as you can. Breathing here. Strong legs. And then raising up, bringing your back heel to the mat and opening out to the right side. Taking a deep breath here, and then on your exhale, imagine someone is pulling you from your left hand as far forward as they can. When you can't go any further, bringing your left hand down, your right arm to the sky into Trikonasana. Really imagine that you're between two panes of glass. So you're keeping your hips pushing forward and really keeping a long spine. You can be as high as you need to make sure that you stay really straight if I was looking at you side on. Look down to the mat and raise back up into your standing. Bring your hands to your hips, bump your right foot forward. Imagine again that you're standing on railroad tracks, hips facing forward. Bring your left arm to your lower back this time, right hand straight up to the sky, and then start hinging from your hips. Going as far as you can until you reach your biting point where your spine starts to round. When you can't go any further, you can bring your right hand to the outside of your left foot and start twisting open. If you were starting to round, when we were here, you can still do this. Just use a block at a high level, then get on your fingertips and start twisting from here. You'll still get the same benefits and the same stretches as someone who is more flexible and can do it from down here. So use your blocks to help you. Breathing here. Looking down, planting your hands and pushing back into your downward facing dog. Inhaling to plank, exhaling chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Just relax here. Take a child's pose if you need to. Otherwise, using downward dog as your resting pose. On your next inhale, look forward, bend your knees, step or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, come up to standing. Amazing. That flow actually doesn't lend itself for us going faster, so instead, let's try and do an arm balance, something that we haven't done yet. We're going to attempt crow pose, so we'll do a sequence to open up our hips. We've already done quite a bit to strengthen our back muscles, and I'll talk you through how you can start to challenge yourself into getting into crow pose if that's something that you'd like to try. So on your inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step or jump back down through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bringing your right foot to the outside of your right hand. We're going to come into lizard pose here. So really making sure that your right knee is tucking in towards your right shoulder. You don't want your knee flaring out to the side. If you need a bit more space, just walk your right foot out further to the edge of your mat. You can stay up here if this feels good to you, if you're already feeling a good stretch within your hips. You can bring your back knee down and relax into it to get a bit deeper. You can also bring your forearms down to the mat or to a block if you don't want to go all the way down. Whatever feels good to get you a good stretch on the inside of that right thigh and along your left hip flexor. Keeping that right knee tucked in towards you. Breathing here. From here, if you've lowered down, raising back up, pulling your hips, walking your foot towards the center of your mat, pulling your hips back so that your hips are directly over your bent knee, straightening out that front leg and flexing your toes here. So we're coming into a hamstring stretch. So here, keeping your spine long, you can start to lower down over that straight leg if you've got the flexibility in your hamstrings. Otherwise, maybe you use a block just to help you here. If you've got tight hamstrings, you may not be able to go very deeply into this pose. If you're practicing your split and you'd like to go a bit further, just pushing your right foot forward, bringing your left foot back, keeping your hips parallel to the mat, and lowering down here and really keeping both of your feet, both of your legs really engaged as if they're pulling in towards one another. It's a very active pose. You don't just get to rest into it. Coming out gently. So if you're in a split, pulling your right foot forward. If you were in just a half Hanumanasana, bending your right foot and coming out of it. Raising up onto your back toes, planting your hands back down on the mat and sweeping that foot up behind you and letting your hip open out into our three-legged dog. Really enjoying that stretch there. And then coming back down. Let's do the other side. So bringing your left foot to the outside of your left wrist. Again, keeping that left knee really tucked in towards you. And taking whatever option you want here. You can come down, you can lower down onto your forearms. It might feel differently on this side than it did on the other side. Just take note of that and breathe into any discomfort that you might be feeling. If you come down, raise yourself back up. Move your foot towards the center of the mat, and then again into our Hanumanasana or our half Hanumanasana. So our half split or our split. So bringing your hips back over that bent knee and straightening out that front leg, toes flex, lowering down, giving yourself a really nice hamstring stretch. If you want to play around with split, bringing your left foot forward, walking your right foot back. I sometimes put a block under my front thigh when I'm practicing my split, but when you do this, you really still need to make sure that you're engaging your legs. You're really pulling them towards one another. You're not just relaxing into it. Breathing here. And then again, being gentle to your hamstrings, coming out of this slowly. Going back into that lunge position. So raising up into your back toes, planting your hands, sweeping your foot up behind you, and opening out your hip. Feeling that good stretch there. Now bringing both of your feet down, walk your feet towards the front of the mat, bringing them as if like all the width, the whole width of the mat basically. And lowering your bum down into our malasana, into our yogi squat. So this is the perfect starting point for crow pose. Crow pose is very much, it's an arm balance, but with the right cues, you actually can not necessarily have so much weight in your arms, but really using your back muscles to lift you up and give you the lift that you're looking for. You can try, if you haven't done it yet, to do it with a block underneath your feet, but I'm going to talk you through it without to start because I want you to practice getting into it the proper way. So the first thing that you're going to do is come out of your squat, just bring your feet a bit closer together. You're going to first focus on your hand grip. So that same grip that we've been having as we've been doing our downward dog and anything else is the key to your hands in your crow pose. So really gripping the mat, spreading your fingers apart, gripping the mat with your fingertips and almost lifting your palms off the mat. A really, really strong grip there. Now, coming up onto your toes, lifting your bum up a little bit and bringing your knees towards the outsides of your triceps. Eventually you will basically have your knees inside your armpit, but that's like when you've got it nailed basically. So for now, and to avoid a lot of bruises, really think about pushing your knees into the sides of your triceps. And that pushing action is what's going to give you balance. Now the other key thing here is look at my upper back. It's not like this, it's not like collapsing in. It's really rounded and really strong, and that's what gives you the base. And the final thing is that you're looking forward slightly. You're not looking back towards your feet. So with all of those motions, pushing into the mat, rounding your back, pushing your knees into your triceps, you may be able to raise one foot, you may be able to raise 2 feet into your crow pose. So give that a go, really thinking about all of those movements. Strong grip in your hands, rounded back, pushing your knees into your triceps, raising one foot, raising the other foot, and keep pushing, looking slightly forward. Push, push, push. Well done. Then when you're feeling really strong in the pose, you'll be able to, I don't think I can do it, but jump back into your plank. From here, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale into a much deserved downward facing dog. And maybe let's all take child's pose. Just breathing. Letting our heart rates come back down. Feeling proud of the work that we've put in. From here, let's just roll over to our backs. We'll start doing a few back bends to start winding down our practice. Now, with your back bends, we've got a few options here. You can do very restorative back bends and you can do very active back bends. If you want just ever a nice restorative back bend, you can take your block. So your knees, your feet are planted on the floor, quite close to your bum so that you can touch the backs of your heels with your fingertips. And you can just raise your hips up and place your block underneath your sacrum, so the bony part at the very bottom of your spine. And if you just relax here, this is quite a nice restorative back bend. You can even use the long side of your block, which is a bit more intense, but to fall into a back bend here. I really like doing this one when I feel like I just need my lower back to be stretched out a little bit without too much intensity. So that's an option for you. Otherwise, we're going to go up into our back bend as we normally would. So again, tickling the backs of your heels, Breathing in, rolling your spine up, like off the mat, tucking your shoulder blades underneath you, gripping your fingertips, gripping your hands, and pushing your hands and your triceps into the mat to raise you up. Make sure that the insides of your feet are pushing down into the mat, that you're not rolling out to the outside edges, and that your knees are staying parallel. Breathing here. Take one more breath. And then releasing your hands, lowering your spine down. And just bring your feet to the edge of your mat and let your knees fall into one another. Don't tuck your knees into your chest until you've completed your series of back bends. We're going to do 2 more. So if you'd like to do bridge another time before moving into wheel, you can. Otherwise, we'll start moving into wheel. For wheel, you're going to again place your feet in the same way, hip widths apart, quite close to your bum. You're going to take your hands, placing your palms beside your ears, your fingertips pointing down towards your toes. On your inhale, first you can do, if you want to do it in 2 steps, you can lift up first to the crown of your head, and then inhale again, pushing your arms up and bringing your weight evenly between your hands and your feet. Really pushing away from the mat, making sure that your knees are parallel, weight on the inside edges of your feet. And then coming back down with control, hips to the feet to the outside edge of the mat, and letting your knees fall into one another again. Maybe we let them rock from side to side. Let's do one final wheel or bridge, whichever you're doing today. So if you're setting yourself up for wheel, just get right up into it. Three to 4 breaths in whichever choice you've taken. And then lowering yourself down, meeting me on the mat. Keep your feet hip width apart. You can rock your knees from side to side, letting that go. And then now tucking our knees in towards ourselves and giving ourselves a little hug. Rounding out the back, maybe rocking from side to side, giving yourself a little massage. Grabbing the backs of your thighs, rock yourself up and down a little bit, come into a seated position. So you can still do this along the long side of your mat. I'll do it facing you just so that you can see me clearly. My hair always looks crazy after being on my back. So from here, let's have your feet facing directly out in front of you, spine long. Pull the fleshy bits of your bum back so that your sit bones are close as they can be to the mat. Tuck your right foot in, bringing the sole of the foot into the inside of your left thigh. Left thigh strong, engaged, toes flexed. Inhale to lengthen your spine, twist your body, keep your body forward over that left knee, and slowly start to exhale down. Reaching for those toes, maybe gripping your hands around them depending on what flexibility that you have. Maybe grabbing your wrist. Or if you don't have this flexibility, maybe you need to keep your knee bent and you're here. Really focusing on keeping a long spine. Whatever you need, however deep you can go to feel that stretch in your hamstring. If you're very flexible, think about flexing your leg to the point that you can sweep your hands under your heel because it's so flexed that it's raising up. On your inhale, come back up. Let's switch out our legs. So this time, left foot inside to the right thigh. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, spine long, folding over that right leg. Leg engaged, toes flexed. Pulling yourself forward. Think about pulling your crown of your head towards your toes rather than rounding it down towards your knee. Letting that go, coming back up. And now let's have both legs out in front of us. Inhale to lengthen your spine. Then on your exhale, start folding forward, spine long. Again, really thinking about crown of your head, reaching towards your toes, shoulders away from the ears, pulling yourself down. Using your exhales to get deeper. And coming back up and letting that go. Amazing. So we're going to finish up with our final movements and our Savasana. So come to laying on your back again. Let's do a bit of a twist to finish. So bring your right knee in towards your chest, grabbing on the outside of that right knee. Let it fall over to the left side of your mat. Try to keep your shoulders, your right shoulder, down on the mat and looking over to your right hand side. Nice spinal stretch here. Coming back through center, lengthening out your right leg, bending your left knee in, letting it fall to the right hand side. Left shoulder down on the mat, looking out over to the left hand side. Stretching out your spine. Releasing that, and then just coming into your final resting pose, Savasana. So letting your feet flare out, your arms long beside your body, away from your body, palms facing up. And just relax. Let your breathing go. Enjoy the weight of your body against the floor, against the mat. Notice how you feel different. Maybe you feel more energized. It was quite an energizing practice today. Fall back to your natural breathing and then rest here for as long as you need. Thank you for joining me again. And we'll see you next week. Namaste.